Welcome to today's episode of APS EdTech Bytes. We are going to talk about Chromebook classroom tips. So maybe some things about Chromebooks that you didn't know that your students might know, but you can use these tips to your advantage in using the Chromebooks to the best of their ability for your class activities. So this slide deck will be available to you. I am not going to flip through the slide deck now. I'm actually going to show you all of the things inside of the Chromebook. But just know that I'm going in the same order as the slide deck, and there's lots of screenshots there in case you missed something. So the first thing I want to do is show you about the Chromebook shelf. That's going to be the toolbar. Students can dock this toolbar at the bottom or on either of the sides of their screen if they choose. They can right-click on any part of the desktop, click Shelf Position, and then they can choose to push that to the right, to the left, or to the bottom, whichever makes more sense for them. Down here on the left-hand side is called your launcher or your app menu. When you click on that circle, it's going to launch all of the embedded apps that are inside of your Chromebook, and you can preview those. And you can also preview some of your most recent files that you've accessed in your Google Drive. Second, in the middle is going to be your pinned or most recently used applications. And then on the right-hand side, you have your quick settings menu, as we call it. This is where you're going to pull up all of the Wi-Fi settings, Bluetooth, and all of that good stuff. You can access your sound and your contrast here as well. So whenever you tell a student click on their time, that's because that's where that quick settings is located. This is also where you can click on the power button to restart or sign out of a Chromebook. You can also lock a Chromebook. So if a student wants to leave their Chromebook open but doesn't want anybody else to access it, you can click lock and it will lock them out so nobody else can get in. The other thing you can do when you right click on the desktop is set the wallpaper and style. This is going to be very popular for your students. You can choose to use an image that Google has provided for you, or you can upload your own image. You can also change it to light, dark, or auto mode, where the internal settings will switch between light and dark modes based on the time of day. As a district, we do not have screensavers available because our Chromebooks do not go into that mode. The third option you have when you right-click on your desktop is Auto Hide Shelf. Students will sometimes do this, and it will make the shelf disappear until you hover over it. You can choose to always show it or auto hide. It's up to whatever you decide you'd like to rather have. Okay, in the apps menu, so we're going to click on our launcher. Some of the apps that you may need to be aware of. You can launch your keyboard shortcuts from here. You can also launch the camera. We'll talk about that more in a minute. Another important one is your Files app. So this is where students can access both their Google Drive and anything that's been downloaded to their Chromebook. So under My Files is going to be anything that lives on the Chromebook itself. So your downloads are typically where all of your screenshots get saved. And then under Google Drive, you can access everything that's inside of your Google Drive without even having to open up Chrome. This is how students could take something from their downloads and simply drag and drop it into their My Drive folder to move it from their Chromebook to the cloud. So now let's talk about the camera app. So we opened up the app launcher, and then let's click Camera. The camera app actually has 3 features inside of it. The first setting is going to be how to take a photo, which of course seems pretty easy, but there are some extra settings in here. You can change the aspect ratio. You can set the full resolution. You can mirror the image so that it will face the correct direction. You can put on a grid if you want to line things up or use some art techniques there. You can even have it be on the golden ratio. You can set a self timer for a countdown timer. And then you also have the ability to reframe and zoom in using the camera. This button here in the bottom left is going to allow you to switch between the 2 cameras. So students have a top camera that's on their screen, and then they also have a camera that's on their keyboard. So if they were to switch, you'll see that there's a camera that points up to the ceiling. That's going to make it a lot easier to take pictures of documents. So you can take a photo. You can also take video, and you have 3 options here. You can take a normal video. You can actually shoot a GIF video in here, or take a time lapse, which is pretty cool. And then under scan, you have the ability to scan a document into a file, or you can even scan QR codes. So if you are giving your students QR code activities, they can use their Chromebooks to scan those QR codes. For all of these features, the take video, right, the record button is all in the same place. Along those same lines, you may need your students to record their screen at some point. So if we open up their quick settings, and then we look for the button that says screen capture. This is going to open up your screen capture menu. Down here at the bottom, you'll see that I can toggle between a screenshot and a screen recording. So the difference would be a picture versus a video. And then I also have the ability to click to capture the full screen, so everything on my desktop. The middle option is going to allow me to drag and drop around a specific area to take a capture of. The last option is going to allow me to take windows. So if I have like a tab open, I can just record that one window. Under settings, you are going to be able to choose where the audio comes from in your recording. So if you have an external microphone or you want to just use the device audio. And then you can also choose which camera you record your face on. You do have the ability to show clicks and keys. So if you're doing a screen recording, the video will actually capture where you click and the keys that you press. And then, of course, you also have the ability to save where this file goes to. So right now, it's going to automatically go to my downloads, and that's perfect. But you can always click select folder to make it go somewhere else. Like if I wanted it to automatically save to my Google Drive somewhere, then I could have that be the location for those folders, for those saved documents as well. And that's just in that settings gear right here. If I do not want to take a screen recording, I just click close. Again, I find that from the quick settings and then screen capture. In our quick settings menu, we also have the ability to access our accessibility tools, but we actually have to turn that on in our quick settings. So if you do not see accessibility as a bubble here, go ahead and click on the settings gear in the bottom right. You're going to scroll down until you see the word accessibility on the left. And then the first option says show accessibility options in quick settings. Toggle that on. That way, when you open up your quick settings, you have your accessibility bubble there for you. And now we're able to click on that button and toggle on the things we want to have access to. Currently, I have select to speak and dictation turned on. We know that those are available to us because down here in our shelf, I have those 2 buttons. If I want to use those, all I have to do is click on that and then select my text and it will read aloud to me. Same idea, if I want to use dictation, I click on the bubble first and then I would tap inside of the box and use my voice to speak and type. Some of the other tools that you may find especially interesting for students is ChromeVox for our students that have visual impairments. You will find that ChromeVox will be just a big built-in screen reader. You do have color correction and inversion. There is also a full screen magnifier as well as a docked magnifier. So the docked magnifier is something where it follows the cursor. So the very top portion of my screen right now is the magnifier, and whatever I'm pointing to is what it is magnifying. Okay. If I do not want that accessibility feature turned on anymore, I simply go to my accessibility tools and I toggle it back off. You also have the ability to live caption during class. So any spoken audio will be live captioned. You have a large mouse cursor that you can toggle on to make that a bit more easy to see. You can also turn on the on-screen keyboard. Many students prefer the on-screen keyboard because they're so used to using tablets, but this could also be for students that have limited mobility or just need a little bit of extra space. So now that that's turned on down here, I can click it and now I have my screen turned on. You do have the option to scribble write. So students could write something and it will type for them, which is kind of fun. They also have the microphone where they can use their speech to text, and then they have the keyboard, of course. You can choose the different languages by clicking on the world icon here and make sure that your input settings are the correct language. If I want to collapse my keyboard, I can click that button down in the bottom right and it will collapse it. If I would like to make sure that that is not available, I can turn it back off here. Okay. I can also choose to highlight my mouse cursor so it's even easier to see. That might be something that you even turn on if students are doing screen recordings. That way it's easier to see what they click on. In your quick access settings, you do have your keyboard settings available to you as well. You want to make sure that your input settings are correct here. If you need to change it, like if students have added the German keyboard, for example, and they're kind of confused as to why they press the letter H and something else happens, you can click on the settings gear and access those big settings in the device to change up those input settings. You can delete ones that the students do not need. You can add more here. If students would like to type in their home language, they can add those input languages here and they'll have that keyboard available to them. Another feature that I'd like to point out to you about Chromebooks is the fact that they can be organized into what they call desks. So desks are essentially like separate windows within the same Chromebook. You can organize your different tabs this way. So maybe you have a desk that's just for English, and then you have a desk that's for math and a desk that's for science. And you can keep your things separated that way. The way you get to the Chromebook desk is by clicking on the top row button that looks like a rectangle with two lines next to it. That's your desk button. When I click that button, it's going to show me here the windows that I have open in this desk, and then any of the new or frequently or recently used tabs or files. I can click up here at the top to click the plus button and add a new desk. And maybe my desk is called math class. And then in math class, I can have whatever I need open for math. And then I can toggle back and forth between my regular desk and my math desk if needed. So it's just another way for students to be organized. But this is a way that students could lose things if they aren't using it with organization in mind. So again, that button that looks like a rectangle with two lines, you click on it and you can see all of the available desks here. You can just go ahead and close desks as well if needed. If I click on the three dots here, I can save a desk for later. So if I wanted to have all the things open for my ongoing project, but I didn't necessarily need them open today, but I want them available next class time, I could have it all open on that desk, have all the things I need, and then save that desk for later and reuse it. If you do want to see a list of all of the keyboard shortcuts, because there are many on the Chromebook, you're going to click on your quick settings, click on the settings gear, click on device, keyboard and inputs, and then scroll down to view keyboard shortcuts. This is going to pop open a window where it's going to give you a list of all of the available keyboard shortcuts. There is a ton. No one is expecting anybody to memorize these, but this could be helpful if your student has kind of turned something on and they don't quite know why. This might be how. So under accessibility, you can see that there's a keyboard shortcut for all of your accessibility features, and they have it broken up by type of accessibility feature as well. And this is how students can interact with their Chromebook without having to maybe click on their touchpad or navigate through the touchscreen. Those are all of the major classroom tips for Chromebooks that I wanted to share with you today. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the comments below, and we look forward to bringing you more EdTech Bytes like this.